to Dream Stories.
I was trying to get started before you ran over me.
You did get started first. You said hey first.
I did because you've been running over me.
I know. I've been starting the podcast.
Well, part of it is because I miss our music.
We don't hear it. There is music, but we don't hear it.
I don't hear it anymore.
We're about to have company, though.
Okay.
Our special guest for this episode is about to join us.
Okay.
And there she is.
This is my baby.
Yes.
It's
well, we actually thought we had locked her out of the room, but
no, she snuck in. Hey, Rue. This is our little black kitty. Her name is Rue. No, we're not Satanists and witchcraft because we have a black cat.
Well, we talk about cats and dreams, that a cat doesn't always represent witchcraft or evil things.
Right.
Like, because for us, we have a black cat, and when she shows up in my dreams, she doesn't represent evil stuff because she's
that's such a good point. I mean, I know we focus on colors a lot, but we always tell people context is so important. Now, this is not what we thought we were going to be talking about just now.
No, it probably won't be what we finished talking about.
Right, but because I want to talk about a lot of other things too. But it just makes, honestly, I think of compassion when I think of Rue, because she would have probably been put to sleep had we not gone and rescued her. She's a rescue. And she was found on the side of the road. She was very feral. Lord have mercy, she was feral. You couldn't hardly get near her. But so I mean, that she does not ever, in my mind. Of course, I guess, again, it would always depend on context.
It's context.
But a black cat is not always bad for me in a dream, and a lot of people say it is.
Things change based upon the context of the dream and what a symbol means to the individual, to the person as well. So, but like I said, that wasn't our topic. It's just our special guest this week. We don't have a special guest this week to join us for an interview, so we had Rue.
So we are our guest. No,
we are guests. We had Rue was our guest.
It's funny because I was sharing with our producer earlier, who happens to be our son, who bosses us around so much, doesn't he?
He does.
He loves it, I think. But anyway, I'm very appreciative of what he does for us. But man, it's hard to be bossed around by your youngest baby. So anyway, he told me my hair looked bad basically before we got started. You said it looks great, and he was standing behind you going. So I'm wearing a toboggan today, and normally I wouldn't even have to explain that, except that my hair looks really bad. I don't have on makeup, and that's the other thing is, I think I'm struggling with us recording podcasts, and I get a little uncomfortable sometimes, and maybe people have noticed that we may not have the same banterings back and forth that we had when we were doing it without recording. It's because I'm having to get used to things. Maybe not you.
Just so you know, we've recorded it always.
I understand recording. I'm talking about video recording.
I know. I just was sort of bantering.
Yeah, well, I don't like that. See, now I have an ugly face and everybody sees it. So, I mean, that's what's bad. Everybody can see when I give you the mean eye or the stink eye.
It's true. I like that.
Oh, good. But I miss my boom mic. So we're going to be working on things. You may see things change a little bit.
No, I like it this way.
You do?
I don't know. I'm good.
I feel like I'm having to bend down to my little mic. So we're going to change up some things. So we got things changing coming. You may see a different color paint on the wall or something. So.
Yeah, y'all been wanting to paint for a while.
But you've said that we're in process with
in process.
And so we're still working on our studio. But we got some cool things to talk about today.
Well,
so
process is kind of part of what we're talking about. I wanted to talk about timing in dreams. Both when you have a dream, the timing of having a dream, the timing of getting an interpretation, and the timing of seeing the application of a dream. Because I think sometimes people think you have a dream, you get it interpreted, it comes to pass, boom, it's all done. Or you have a dream and you never know what it means, and it just rocks on forever, one of the two. When in reality, a lot of it's kind of in between.
It's all in there, isn't it? It's not just one thing. We were talking earlier about how sometimes there's a process, and I had read in the news this week about a certain thing that had happened in a dream with a family, and we'll talk about that.
Yeah, go ahead.
You want me to go ahead and start down that road? Well, it was this lady, and I think it was reported on CNN or somewhere that she had won the lottery in Canada because her husband had a dream 20 years prior with certain numbers that won the lottery. And she shared about how when she first came over from Laos, they were, they had come over from
Immigrants.
Laos. Yeah, they were immigrants to Canada. And how, when they came, that there was a church that took care of them and just really helped them through some really difficult times. How they both worked full-time jobs for 40 years, day and night, both of them, just labor, hard, intensive jobs. She was laid off due to COVID, a lot of things happening. And then she's been faithfully, whether you agree with this or not, she's been faithfully playing the lottery for 20 years with the same numbers that this man dreamed 20 years ago. And she won $60 million.
Canadian dollars?
Well, I don't care. $60 million.
It's still a lot of money.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, I guess it depends on where you're talking it from, but Canadian dollars, not too bad.
No, it's not. Well, I think the interesting thing with that dream, which is why we would talk about it, because people will disagree on whether you should play the lottery or not.
Right.
And I get that. That's not the topic today. Playing the lottery or not playing the lottery is not our topic.
Right. It's the process.
The issue is the process
Yeah.
of her dream. And whether you agree or disagree,
Right.
she won the lottery because of a dream.
Right.
And the interesting thing to me is the interpretation. We don't know all the details of that dream, but clearly she interpreted the dream
Right.
to mean that those numbers should be played in the lottery.
Right.
The application, the result, the fulfillment of the dream is 20 years later.
Right.
And I think that's really significant when people get into their mind that something's supposed to happen like that overnight.
Right,
Boom.
right.
And you get your result. And it didn't. Joseph's dreams in the Bible, he has a dream about the sun, the moon, and the stars,
Right.
and the sheaves of wheat bowing down to him. It's 40 years or something like that? It's a long time
Yeah.
before that is fulfilled. It didn't mean he didn't believe in it. Just like she continued to play those numbers, Joseph still stood by that dream.
Yeah.
Although I imagine there were times when he was in prison,
Right.
he wasn't real confident in it.
Right.
In fact, I think it's in the book of Psalms. It says, until the word of the Lord came to pass, it tested him. He probably did feel tested. Until it came to pass.
Exactly.
So sometimes there's enduring or being patient
Right.
to see the results of a dream.
Well, and we say results of the dream. It's not even always something that seems positive. Like right before, when we were building this, well, actually, if I could go back further, we had purchased a house maybe back in 2004, and I had a dream there were water problems at that house. And it was like, we didn't have major water problems, but we did have water that just stood in the backyard. And I have learned to pay attention to those dreams when it comes to us either buying a house or,
in this case, building.
So when we had made contract to build the house we're in now, which we love this house, it's beautiful. They did a great job on the house. But there were challenges along the way. I mean, it wasn't all without challenges. But right before we even dug up the ground, I had a dream. We were actually going to meet one of the owners of the company out here on our property. And I had a dream that the house was juxtaposed, which is not a normal, I don't use that word every day. I think it means to be either catty-cornered or not set just right. It means to be opposing something. And I remember telling him that day when we came, he goes, oh, this is going to be easy. This is going to be a breeze. The land's beautiful, it's set just right. And we're like, oh, this is awesome. I said, well, that's good to know, because last night I had a dream that I came up to the house and my builder was there. And I said, the house doesn't look right. He was our project manager. I said, the house doesn't look right. It's juxtaposed. It's not, or they came to me and said, the house is juxtaposed. Something's not right.
Yeah, and technically the definition is when you put two things side by side,
Something's off.
They're contrasting. Something's off.
Okay.
Yep.
And so when I'd say a couple of weeks had gone by, you had been coming out, they'd cleared the land. But then when I came out, I was like, it was something you didn't notice as much at first. But when I got here, I was like, something's not right. They had dug down too deep for the house to be set on a slab.
Right.
It looked like it was something that should have been either a basement or something like that. So even though I had the dream, I just thought it wasn't going to happen or wouldn't happen quickly, or I still tucked it in the back of my head, but I was like, oh, it's not going to happen. But it did. It was a disturbing thing in the dream, but then we were able to move on, and the house was okay.
Right, and in a lot of ways, that's almost the exact opposite of the dream about the lottery, in that you have the dream. And what's interesting to me about that dream, and we've talked about the juxtaposed dream, I think, back several months ago.
We did.
In the building process. When you looked at the house in comparison to the surrounding land, it was contrasting. It was sunk into the ground.
Yes.
In your dream, on the other hand, it was positioned wrong. It was turned wrong.
Right.
And that's a great because we got a result immediately, but it didn't match the dream directly. So if you were looking for something to say, oh, we were trying to be real careful, let's make sure that the house is lined up with the road, and we missed the fact that it wasn't lined up vertically. Correctly.
Right.
So it's really important that interpretation was right.
Yeah.
Pay attention to how they're building the house.
Yeah.
The application was wrong, but it came so quick, within days of you having the dream, that we didn't have time to process it. So you can say, oh, gee, I don't want a dream that's going to take 20 years to come to pass. Well, you've got 20 years to process the dream.
Yeah.
You could say, well, gee, I don't want a dream that's going to happen just like that. Well, you get kind of instant results. But they both have their pros and cons.
They do.
Which one is more important? The dream that comes and you get the immediate answer, or the dream that comes and takes its time to be fulfilled? And the answers are both important.
They both have their purpose, for sure.
And there are other dreams that you have to wait and see how they play out. You don't know. In that dream, the timing affected almost coming too quick to recognize what was going on.
Right.
But in other cases, the timing of understanding a dream has more to do with recognizing what it's speaking about. And prophetic type dreams that reveal the future, those dreams can be very difficult, and you have to have patience for those dreams.
Yeah.
You often don't see an immediate result. In fact, sometimes you can get a general idea of what the interpretation is, but you need time to play out to know the specific interpretation.
Right.
We have a friend who had a dream recently. I'm not going to get into it because I haven't asked permission on it yet, but it had to do with what could be a physical condition of a family member.
Right.
Or it could be a spiritual condition of a family member.
Right.
There's the dream says that something's shifting, that something's ending, and something else is beginning.
Yeah.
Is that spiritual? Is it physical? Is it mental? Is it emotional? There's got to be patience. You can't expect to just know the answer to that one.
We don't. I mean, for me, because I dream so often, 2 or 3 dreams a night, sometimes 5, 6 dreams a night.
Oh, Lord.
You dream. We always tell people you dream. Everybody dreams. It's just part of our natural brain function. You wouldn't be living if you weren't. Your brain wouldn't be functioning correctly if you weren't dreaming. So, for you to have a dream and remember it is pretty big.
It's a pretty big
because
deal.
you don't really.
I have more dreams than I remember. That's the better way to put it. I do have a lot of dreams.
I feel you dreaming all night long. I mean, you're wrestling things, you're fighting things, you're
dream,
running.
baby.
You're running, you're fighting somebody. You have a lot of warfare dreams, and
I don't remember any of those.
I know. I want to wake you up sometimes, but you've told me before, don't wake me up because sometimes I'm right about to get a secret, or yours are more. Your dreams are very much like Indiana Jones. Sometimes.
Well, and sometimes you wake me up and I do things like, oh,
yeah.
And then you just freak out.
You freak out, and then that freaks me out. But so I don't always want to wake you up because you may be at a pivotal moment. But if I think you're struggling really bad, like if you're moaning or screaming or something, I might wake you up.
I don't do that very much. I don't scream. Okay, maybe I do. I don't know.
Not scream, but in your dream. I know you're screaming.
Okay.
Like it's muffled, because you're kind of paralyzed a lot of times while you're dreaming, and everything. Just like when I moan and cry out. Don't do it.
Okay, I'm going to be kind.
Okay.
You should know that Lisa has the real fun, moaning, muffled dreams.
Yeah,
I didn't say it.
I do. Okay. Anyway, so he makes fun of me quite often for it too. So, but anyway, when you dream, we take notice of it. When I dream, it's just always
It's like,
dreaming again.
that's another one.
And if they really stand out and they're very prominent to me, then I might talk to you about them or something. So, but you had something this week that really played out really interesting, and I think we're going to talk about it in a future podcast fully.
Yeah, we won't get into it too much now, but for the timing side
but
of
even
things.
that was a kind of a timing thing, and it played out immediately.
Well, that's what I was going to say. That one's interesting, though, more so from the other side. Mm-hmm. So what we've been talking about is a dream that you have the dream, and then it fulfills, or you see the fulfillment of it, almost instantaneously.
Yeah.
Versus a dream where you have the dream and the fulfillment of it plays out in a long, drawn-out process, 20 years, 40 years, etc. But the dream you're talking about is the other side, and that is when you need a dream.
Yeah.
When you're asking for revelation, for the creator of heaven and earth to speak to you about something.
Yeah. Or
or even sometimes it's not even knowing that's what you're asking for. You just need an answer. You need a solution.
Or even comfort. We can ask for those things, and those play out immediately. But what I was really trying to bring attention to was the fact that if you're a dreamer and you don't remember your dreams very much, and then you're asking or seeking for something, a comfort or something, and then you do have a dream, it's really important to pay attention to it, especially if it's strong, it's powerful. I mean, you woke up that morning, you were like, oh my goodness, I got to share this dream with you.
Quick results.
Yeah.
Because let's give a little bit of background to that dream, even though I don't want to get into depth of it, because I've talked to the individual that the dream was really for, and I want to have her on the show. Yeah. But the dream was a what would we say, peace or comfort dream in the midst of a tragedy.
Yeah.
And so it's not timing is not right to have this guest at the present time. But what is interesting is the individual contacted me, you and I, for prayer, asking us to just stand with them because they were facing a really tough crisis with a family member, potentially losing a family member's life. And it was just a really, really tough situation. And they'd ask us for prayer. And interestingly, they texted me and said, would you agree that this person will have a dream? The individual that they were concerned about, that they would have a dream and that God would reveal theirself to them in a dream. And my response was, I'm going to pray for that. And I'm going to pray for dreams that bring confirmation and give you peace. And literally, that's at like 9:00 at night that we asked and had the conversation or the text conversation about this dream. And I go to sleep by 10-ish and have a dream about that situation.
Yeah.
Get up the next morning for whatever reason. I typically am up at 5 or 5:30 in the morning. For whatever reason, this day I must have just
You
needed
slept
to
till
finish.
8. I was having
slept till
coffee
8.
and you were still in the bed.
Actually,
That's
8:30.
unusual.
About between 8:30 and 9:00 is when I got up. And at 8:30, I got a text from one of the people, the family members, and at 9 from the other one, saying that this situation had come to pass that they were concerned about. And that's what my dream had been about.
Yeah.
And so now we're looking at timing in a completely different way.
Well, not just timing in a completely different way, but from an unexpected source. You didn't think you would be the one to have a dream.
Didn't expect to be the one to have it. I was expecting the family to have the dream.
Exactly.
And instead, not only did we have an immediate answer, because that's what we had asked for was a dream.
Right.
And that's what the person had asked for specifically, was for a dream. And then I'd suggested a dream not just for that individual, but a dream for the family. And we got it. Pow, just like that. And to me, what that says is, well, the person passed away. And so the what that says is they had requested a dream for God to reveal himself to this person who was passing away. They died. We don't know if they had a dream. But what we did get was an immediate answer of a dream to bring peace, which is what we also ask for.
Yeah.
And for me, what that does, the significance of the timing there becomes one of the affirmation of something we didn't know.
Yeah.
So we didn't know if this person had a dream, but I had this dream.
Yeah.
And I think what that says is, yes, if my Creator cared enough to answer one half of that request, He cared enough to answer the other half too.
Yeah, so it's important, I think, that we lean into God when we need comfort and peace and ask Him to give it to us. If it's through a dream, Lord, let it be through a dream. There's nothing wrong with asking. We were talking about process. I think it's also important that we don't try to force the understanding of something. If we seek it out, if we have a dream, we feel like it has important meaning, we seek it out but it's okay to let it play out in its time.
Yes.
Because our Creator understands time far better than we do. He created time for us, not because He needed it. He did it for us so that we could, I guess, have night and day, sleep, whatever, and keep a record of time. But He doesn't need it. Our Creator God does not need time.
No.
So for us, it is sometimes hard to be patient, to get an understanding of a dream, or to wait on it to play out. And then there have been times where you may think it's already happened and it hasn't. And then when it really does, you go, oh, wow, this is what it was. Yeah.
And I think that side of it, of letting a dream be fulfilled, letting it run its course, you can sometimes see more than one application for a dream. Early, you might see one understanding and it be correct.
Yeah.
And later you see another understanding and it's also correct. But we can get impatient and expect something, or just determine because we want it now in terms of timing.
Yeah.
This is what it means, and it be incorrect, and later find out, if we've been patient, this is what it means.
Yeah.
And the same thing can be true on that when we flip-flop it from the understanding of the dream back to the requesting the dream. We talked about the dream I had that was almost an immediate answer. The timing of the dream came. It was very significant. It hits pow right when it's needed. But I know people who they almost worship their dreams.
Yeah.
And so they don't want to do anything without a dream.
Right.
And those are times when I think our Creator says, let's hold off. Let's let this process of even giving a dream take its time, and you don't get the answer you're looking for in a dream.
Right. Well,
it takes a long time for it.
Right. I lost my train of thought.
Well, I was just going to say, I think that's kind of to teach us we can't demand an answer for things. And we shouldn't become dependent on the type of answer, or we want to be dependent on the source, not the type of answer.
For me, I'm a born-again Christian. That's my faith that I practice. And so for me, it would be, I believe for me, it would, based on what I read in Scripture and where I get my inspiration from and my guidebook for life and how to live my life. I don't do it perfectly, but I try. I'm attempting to. I fail. But it would be wrong for me to put anything above God Himself. So that would be an idol for me. Trying to put interpreting dreams before Him, trying to put prophecy before Him, trying to put even so many things, anything that before Him would be wrong for me. So just if you think you can live your life by dreams, your Creator God will show you can't live your life by dreams. It can be a guidebook sometimes. It can be, I say it's like a signpost. We just like to bring attention to it. We do a weekly podcast on it, video podcast, not because we think it's, everybody, you need to know everything about it. You need to know every inch of your dream life, and you need to know every single thing that happens in your dreams and why you're dreaming it. No, we're just saying, look, there's a signpost. You're riding down the road. You see a sign that says, go this way.
And you get it in the time you need it.
Yes. So or even this is comforting for you. Here's a dream for you that comforts you,
And there are going to be times when you don't need it, just like there are times when you do need it. And we've known people who literally didn't want to get dressed in the morning unless they had a dream to tell them what clothes to wear. And that's the kind of person who, as much as I hate to say it, dreams are going to be withheld from them.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's going to be, timing is going to be a big issue for them in the length of time to get to a significant dream.
Right. Well, we also tell people, we'll have people approach us sometimes, and if you've done this, please don't take it bad or wrong or anything. And they'll have, 5 written out pages of their dream, and they're just convinced that every single piece in it is so important, and it is to that person, but it's difficult for someone else to help shed light on something that you haven't quite, gotten, you didn't have yourself, you didn't experience it, so you may have a dream that may be extremely long. Just rest in it and just know that maybe it's a dream that's just teaching you how to understand metaphors.
Well, and I think, that conversation brings us to kind of the last point that we could probably make in the time we have too, which is not just the timing of the dream, but the timing of the interpretation.
Yeah.
I have had situations where people give me that 5 or 6 page dream that you're talking about, and part of the challenge with it is they want an answer to what's the interpretation right now. And a lot of times when somebody's demanding an interpretation, I don't get it.
I know, same for me.
And I think it's part of that is for the timing of the interpretation of your. I've learned, now look, I have to own who I am. I tend to procrastinate a little bit, and I tend to let things slip by me sometimes as well. So I tell people, if you email me and ask me for an interpretation of a dream and you'll get a response, it's probably not because I'm ignoring you. I'm overwhelmed because we get so many.
Yeah.
And I really don't even do it that way anymore as a result of that.
Right.
But if it's a close friend or somebody who's a family member or something, I'll say, look, email me again or call me again or remind me, because that dream is not going to have priority for me with the schedule I keep until the right time for it to be interpreted.
Exactly.
And then it'll be easy to interpret.
Right.
And so I've learned I'm not going to push and try and make myself interpret a dream until the time is right to interpret that dream.
That's right. That's good.
Yep. I guess that's good, right?
I guess we've run out. Look, there's no need for us to push something beyond what the timing is and what God has put in our hearts to talk about tonight.
It's true.
Why don't you tell people just how, if they want to watch us, if they can share and like and share and that kind of thing.
Really important. If you're watching the podcast in the new video format, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, and that helps us with tracking our podcast there. But also like and share on Facebook. You can retweet us. I usually tweet the podcast episode when it's about to come out. That's RevMike88 is my Twitter handle. I guess that's what they call it, isn't it? A Twitter handle?
Twitter handle?
I don't know. The name you go by on Twitter.
I hope they recorded me making the face I'm making right now, because I don't know if it's called Twitter handle.
Whatever it is.
What's your handle?
My Twitter.
What's your 2020?
Somebody asked me about, if all communication shuts down, can you send me your CB handle? When we were younger,
we're digressing now, but when we were younger, we did used to talk on the CB.
Breaker 19.
What's your 2020?
What's your 20?
I know it's what's your 2020.
No, 1020. I don't know. Anyway, something.
What's
okay,
your
so you can retweet us.
Lord, I hope it
You can share on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube. We've got all these new mechanisms for you to follow the podcast. Our Whooshka podcast source feeds us out to all the podcasting subscription services. We're on iTunes, we're on Google Play, we're on Spotify, on all these different sources. But just being there is one thing. The most important thing that you can help us with is if you'll share these things so that we can get this podcast out there for people to hopefully learn from and grow in. That's what we're doing it for.
I'm just curious, what was your handle? What was your CB handle?
Honestly, I don't remember. I'll have to think about that now. The next week, somebody's going to want to know what your CB handle was. I don't know.
I know what mine was.
What was yours?
Tweety Feet.
Tweety Feet?
Yes.
Before Twitter, you were a Tweety.
I was something. I had some big yellow house shoes, and they looked like
Tweety feet.
yeah, they looked like
The
Tweety.
bird
Yeah,
Tweety, yeah.
they were big and yellow and bulky and hairy. I thought it was
I
awesome.
don't remember. So, well, at any rate, we've run out of time.
All right.
So I opened this yet. No, you opened this
I
week.
opened
So
this
I get to say it.
You usually do anyway. Go
Oh, that's
ahead.
true. Okay. Till next time, keep dreaming.